Right on. I was gonna say you're looking like Sadhguru. I don't know if you've seen him in
Oh,
some of those videos, but
dude, thank
you
you.
haven't? No.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay. Yeah, he wears like the little spooky goggle
For
glasses
sure.
because like his eyes are too strong or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually I'm really happy you brought that up. I'm like very inspired by him and I've noticed similar effects. There's a legitimate regenerative power to wearing these, especially at night. I've like driven at night with these. It's like interesting. You see better because I notice when things are too bright, the brightness actually distracts us from detail. But if you turn the brightness of the visual world down, you notice all these small details. That's how he's doing the motorcycle ride in the desert at night. Like it's wild, man. He's a great guy. So thanks for
All
that.
right.
I'm honored that I reminded you of him. Thank you.
That's cool that you knew exactly what I was talking about, though. By the way, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm actually seeing him next month in Atlanta. He's doing the Mahamudra Shambhavi Mahamudra for like the last time in person. So I'm excited for that.
Wow. Wow. I know very little about that mudra. Can you talk a little about that? And that sounds very special.
Yeah, I actually don't know what it's going to entail. As you know, like yogis, they're very like secretive about the techniques they transmit. So you kind of just know, oh, it's going to entail some breath work. There's probably going to be some asanas of some kind. But yeah, it's a 2-day seminar in Atlanta, Georgia. I live in Rhode Island, so
Oh,
yeah, so it's going to be a bit of a plane ride, but I don't know. I know that he has some kind of there's always some kind of like special like energetic transmission that the gurus do. So that's a big part of it. Um, yeah, that's all I can tell you. Not too much,
yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think that's great. I like hearing about the mysterious part of it because yeah, it's important I think to not give all the secrets away, right? Like let people know kind of what they can expect, like the effects, but it's like a I think of spirituality as an extra dimensional form of healing performance art in its own right, you know? And it's almost like if you were going to go to like see a movie, right? You don't want the trailer to give away all of those details. You'd be like, "Oh no." Then it's like the magic doesn't work because you know everything. There needs to be a certain amount of unknowns in order for the practitioner or the audience of that movie to have the suspension of belief. Yeah. Yeah, or
Right, right.
disbelief.
To be able to receive. Yeah. That's a good point. I love it. You're on point with even now you're on point with all of your analogies. It's impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
I was gonna say, cause like usually we're listening to Ryo speaking through you, so I didn't actually know that you were also like equivalently good at conveying teachings and ideas until the clubhouse meeting, but also like literally the live Q&A just before that, like right at the end, you just started going off on some topics, and Yahira was like, "Yeah, he does this all the time," and I'm like the only one around to hear it, so we got to get him out there on like other platforms and clubhouse. So
Well, thank
yeah.
you so much, man. I appreciate that you have opened up this opportunity. It's really fun. I love meeting people and I love being able to talk about things that most people want to talk about but don't know where to go, you know? So thanks for helping people to have a space to come to for the ability to absorb these great topics. I mean, it's like water in a desert, I'm sure, for certain members of your audience and people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm still like in shadow ban phase or something, but like the few people who do see my videos, yeah, I would think that it's yeah, a very much an Oasis vibe. So yeah, let's do that today with you, man. So I guess let's introduce you to the audience. So Tyler Ellison, he is the channeler of the extraterrestrial known as Ryo, and he is from the Sassani clan, just like Bashar, who I'm sure almost 99% of humans have probably heard of. And so yeah, he offers a lot of services and projects beneath that umbrella of work that we'll talk about today. But also, we're going to get into his spiritual path leading up to the Ryo channeling. And so also, as a side note, he's a licensed acupuncturist from the University of Bridgeport, Connecticut, a biologist, and a universal healing Tao instructor, associate edition. And yeah, so besides that, Tyler, I just wanted to mention like why I wanted to do this podcast in the first place, or actually how how it became a thing. And so I found your channel because somebody linked one of your videos on the Bashar fan page, actually. And this was back when you were still Ryok at the time. And you only had like 3,000 subscribers. But I checked out your work, and your channeling was very impressive. And I was like, wow, like, why is nobody here? Why? This is Bashar level quality. And, you know, I was like, where are the crowds? But fast forward to now, I started doing my mystical podcasts. And I woke up one morning, it was like Easter morning at my family's house, and I saw a vision of your name being typed into my phone notes where I write my dreams. And then, yeah, right? And then I was like, oh yeah, you know what? Tyler Ellison, I would love to talk to him because I can tell he's had some kind of cool spiritual path background. Like, he doesn't just channel the alien. I can tell he's like studied tons of esoteric literature. And so I want to figure out what that's about. And also, I do want to get your channel more visibility because it's a crime to have it stay at like 4,000 subscribers. So yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's it.
thank you for assisting more ears and eyes in receiving the information because I desire for it to spread. It's powerful information, but I find that it's simple, it's comprehensive, it's logical, and it's very practical. You can implement it with great ease, the information. So I've used it as a rubric, a structure to build my own life, and it has only provided for me. I am watching it also provide for people I'm close to whom are applying the same principles. It's amazing, really, you know. And the more people begin to apply these principles and begin to live in this way that I would describe as heart-based improv. That's how I talk about this, right? The
I like
Sassani
that.
talk about it as, right, your passion, your joy. I would describe it as heart-based improv, you know, ultimately.
That's epic.
I mean,
I love
when
that.
we live our life from that place of spontaneity, which is guided by our genius, it's not the same as impulse. It's a higher quality, right? It's like think of the, you know, the different types of alcohols or gasolines, right? These are different levels. You have like the lower level, and then you have something much higher. So improv is where the higher energies, right, from the source, but also the stars that channel energy into our North Pole. These energies communicate with our crown, and that goes down to our heart. So when we feel the brain and heart work together, we are literally making a connection to the major stars that impact weather changes, seasonal changes, energetic changes on planet Earth, electromagnetic changes. These are the stars that have a big impact on what occurs in our planet, right? And as our planet rotates, right, on the axis, right, its relationship with these stars will change slightly, right, through the course of the year, the small year and the big year, right, the galactic year, the very, very big year, right? It's a very important concept, right? And this is how these stars interact with our Earth. They guide our Earth, and when we awaken that connection of head to heart, we allow for that wisdom and power to come right in. And that's how these ETs are getting messages to people, right? It's distributed through our electromagnetic grid, right? Both natural and artificial grids are used to transmit the extraterrestrial energies. This is fascinating, you know. People think that it's only like on the astral plane these ETs are
I would think,
interacting.
yeah.
Oh no, they
You're
interact with
saying
people.
they're like launching into Wi-Fi
Yes.
waves and stuff, you mean?
Absolutely, yes. Yes,
Okay.
5G, AI. These things are going to become finger puppets for
Ooh,
extraterrestrial consciousness.
I
But
like that.
and no one will know. Everyone's just like, oh, it's just I had this sort of inspiration or I got this idea. Right? People won't really put together where it's coming from until these beings essentially announce, hey, it's time. So,
It's
you know, they
time.
let them know that it's happened.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, no, I never thought about like actually channeling energy from distant stars. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, no, that's wild. Right, and the precession of the equinox, that's gonna change which stars are getting channeled into which places on the Earth. So that's kind of cool.
Exactly. This has been a topic I've been fascinated by, and I study it quite a bit, and I'm actually seeking more people whom study it to have conversations. with, because these topics about the changing pole stars, for example, connects to so many hidden mysteries within history. For example, there's a big correlation between the Sumerian kings that are reported to have lived for, some of them, thousands of years, right? It's like, how someone lived that
Like
long,
hundreds of thousands even.
right? Exactly. And my hunch is that the ages of these kings are actually not the ages of a human, but it's the age of, or rather, it's the measurement of how long a particular pole star's energy is in power, right? Because as we move through the precession of the equinoxes, right, we're going to have different signs that are coming in, and there's going to be different stars, some of them pole stars, that shift and that impact life on Earth and life on many levels. So I think that these are major energies that we can not only tap into, but we're already being affected by, right? And it's a matter of, do we want to listen to these subtle energies that we're being bathed in, or do we want to be more terrestrial and just focus on the impulse of the body, right, or the desire of the mind, right? We have this choice, right? Do we live from awareness of the meat suit, or do we live from an awareness of relationship with everyone and everything? And I think that's the thing that the extraterrestrial beings that are being channeled are getting us to focus on. That's their big agenda. Like, focus on the connection that you have and how you can use your gifts to play your role in that grand tapestry. And they're really invested in helping us to accomplish that in a way that really provides us with the species with long-term success. Just as our current civilization is the result of such an endeavor, right? Our current society was founded by extraterrestrials, right? And like the people that organized our society were the ones whom the extraterrestrials were working with very intimately. That's how these like secret societies started. That's how these like little groups started, right? Where people know the secrets of the universe, but the rest don't, right? That's where that comes from. So we are living in a society that's built upon an extraterrestrial intervention, number one. So that is happening again now, right? So extraterrestrials are in a sense returning, but they're a little different. They're not the same extraterrestrials, right? They have a different energy, right? These beings that are coming now, they have names like Sassani, they have names like EIL, right? They have these interesting names. They're new, right? Maze, right? These are some names that Bashar and Daryl Anka have brought through. Maze specifically. There's these interesting new concepts, new beings coming through, which means that the beings that are coming now to work with us are very different, in my opinion, than the beings that came and kind of started this whole thing, right? The beings that came and started this whole thing were less evolved than these hybrids we're interacting with now. What I mean is their system of ethics was less evolved. Their system of, or their sense of responsibility, for example, was less evolved, right? More of a focus on power, intellect, and personal ascension. Less of a focus on, you could say, everybody benefiting together, right? There's sort of an elitist mentality. That's where that comes from, right? We could think of this as, I don't like to use the word Anunnaki. I really don't. It's not the best word to use to talk about these beings, but it is, unfortunately, or fortunately, who knows, the word that's most commonly used. But this tendency to love gold, this tendency to see gold as a symbol of wealth and status, this sense of caste system, and I'm up here in the hierarchy and you're down here, and that somehow makes me fundamentally better than you, right? This sort of thing came from, you could say, the less evolved factions of what we call Anunnaki. But Anunnaki, I'll talk about this here. I'm really happy to unveil this on your podcast, by the way.
Please do.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. So
secret info.
Info. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm finding all the people who can get secret info out. I think that's why we linked up, because you were like, hey man, I think I got an audience where it's just going to be a few of us that get this, and that's what I want. I want a few people at first, and then it spreads like a seed. So this is really nice. And awesome. Yeah, man, happy to be doing this, man. It's great to meet you. I'll touch upon the Anunnaki here. So when we talk about Anunnaki, what are we talking about? We're talking about beings from Sirius. We're talking about beings from the Pleiades. We're talking about beings from Orion. We're talking about beings from Cygnus. We're even talking about beings that would exist in Draco or in Andromeda, right? Why are these beings Anunnaki? Why is everything Anunnaki? because
Yeah.
Anunnaki is a word that represents the intelligent humanoid form possessed by what we call the entity of the human spirit. Right? Think about what we think of as the human spirit, right? In its most fundamental raw form and essence. That's what Anunnaki originally is, right? So that energy that we call the human spirit enters into this universe at Cygnus, right, and Lyra, and
Okay.
from here it uses Vega, right, as its main projection point, because Vega is the pole star at this time, to access all of the major constellations, but in particular, Vega is used as a direct access point for Earth because it aligns from the Earth perspective with the crown chakra, the North Pole of the Earth. Right, so this is where, right, the human spirit comes into the universe. It picks this time strategically because it understands the importance of Earth. So it aligns with this particular gateway. It starts its civilization within Lyra, within Cygnus, and it immediately begins plotting its relationship with Earth. And there are so many interesting, let's just say, stories I could tell. We can get into this and more of the species that had the Earth before what we call Homo sapien, right? Like we weren't the first like species to have a civilization here, right? It's
Right.
fascinating. But even those species, to me, I still call them human because their level of consciousness we would describe as being equal to that of the human spirit, right? So it's still
Yeah.
us, it's still humanity, but not the same body, but the same spirit. So that's the idea here. That's what the Anunnaki are. And because they're us, right, think of how corrupt and rotten and beautiful and divine and holy and wrathful and generous we are. We can be everything, right? We're literally Mercury, right? The laughing face and the sad face, right? This is why the
Okay.
Anunnaki are crazy. That's why our ancient cultures worshipped them, and that's why our modern conspiracy theorists are terrified of them. Because, like, you can see what they built. They built an empire on Earth, and then they left it to the humans that they initiated. And they said, all right, y'all do it now. And then they went bye-bye into
It's
their
pretty awesome.
exploration.
Yeah.
And they're still here. I mean, they still work with us, but they also have evolved, right? They've changed dramatically. They've become softer, which I enjoy. More feminine, much more feminine. As have we. That's why we're seeing this in our culture, right? There's dimensions of that that are natural. There's dimensions of that that I think are us just exploring and we're just trying things out. But there's a lot of that that is a natural thing, right? Where the feminine is meant to find more of its fire, right? More of its yang qi, and the masculine is meant to find more of its water, more of its yin. And this is a very natural process that a species must go through to maintain psychological integrity as it evolves into the future.
Right. Right. It's kind of wild that we're talking about Anunnaki right now because my friend, my friend was literally just texting me about them, and she's very interested in like who are they? Like, so it's not just one race. Then it's an amalgam of just any alien that visited Mesopotamia at that time, is what you're saying.
I would describe it as this. What we call Anunnaki are the dimensions of the. How would I describe this simply? I would describe it in the following way. I label Anunnaki as any form of consciousness that possesses what is equal to what we consider to be the human spirit. That's the simplest way I can define Anunnaki. So there's a lot of beings that possess that kind of soul energy that we would call an Anunnaki soul energy. Right? Think about what makes humanity humanity. That's what makes Anunnaki Anunnaki, right? They're like the human of human, if that makes sense, right? And because they're like the original us. That's what we originally were, right? We're kind of like the offshoot, right? We're like the hybrid strain, if you will.
Yeah.
They're like that pure, they kind of pure from the top, but that's why they lord over other species sometimes, right? Like, because they see themselves as like the purest, because the human is seen in a lot of systems, not just human-based systems, other systems, as being incredibly similar to the likeness of what you would call the source or the creator. So there's a huge, you could say, dimension of pride that many, you could say, human souls harbor because of this, where they're like, you know how sometimes Americans get that reputation of being like the entitled child of the world? Like they go to a country and they're like,
Oh
but I'm
yeah.
American, hey, help me. That's like a human
How
thing.
dare
Like
you?
that's like something human beings right, have, in a sense, done. That's an Anunnaki thing, because a lot of the Anunnakis would see themselves as being so like the creator that they can play God. And in a certain way, they're meant to. Like, that's their role. But there's ethical ways and non-ethical ways to do that, right? Because what do all of our teachers say? We are all gods. And Jesus said this, right? Yeshua says this, ye are gods. So this
Yeah.
is said. Now that we know it's said, it's time that we learn how to turn on that power and how to use it in an ethical way. So there's a reason all the secrets are coming out right now. Because, like I said, everything's getting softer. It's getting more feminine. What's this mean? Even though we have crazy things on the news in people's hearts, in most people's hearts, there's less violence, there's less conflict, there's more softness, there's more of a desire for connection, community, and building people up. When that becomes the desire of a society, that's when new spiritual systems are developed. It's when new philosophies are developed. It's when new sciences are developed. It's a renaissance. So a renaissance is initiated by a change in the heart. And that's what we're going through now. We're
Right.
seeing this rebirth of the sun going from spring to summer. This is affecting the heart chi, right? Yeah. We think of the sun as, you could say, the heart of our solar system, right? Everything orbits around it. Everything.
Oh, right.
It's the center.
Right. Sun is that Tiferet, right? Tree of
Exactly.
life.
Well said.
Good point. Okay. No, yeah, I've seen you wear the Etz Chaim shirt before. You had your Tree of Life shirt. You've got your Bagua shirt. Your two faves.
Yeah, man. Those are some classic shirts. I find I sample many, many things. There's a lot of beauty in the world, and I find that I go through a lot of changes in myself. And I find that my own world no longer has the symbols I need to express what I'm going through. So I oftentimes will explore the cultures, the music, the arts, the traditions of not just other cultures, but like my neighborhood, like local artists, local musicians, finding as many influences as I can, because I'm a sun, right? That's like my role in the world. I'm literally like a heart.
You mean like in a Crowley sense, like every man and woman is a star, like that kind of thing?
That, yeah, sure. Thanks for that. I do
Okay.
mean it on one level in that sense, yes. And literally, I'm a double Leo in my zodiacal powers, right? There are, many things, many amazing things. I also have a powerful Taurus link in my chart, right, as a leading part of my persona, right? So Taurus, right, is Venus, which is the morning star, right? So I have this very powerful star, stellar, solar light. And that's why I give myself to the world as often as I can. I like to be out with people. I like to be going to restaurants, meeting people, trying things. I'm very of the world. Like, I am very meditative. I have, the practices that I have. I've developed with Ryo through channeling magical systems, right? Complete esoteric systems based off of the Kabbalah and off of many of the ancient systems that you've mentioned here, right? You had mentioned the Bagua coming from Daoism. We've blended these things, taking sort of a Golden Dawn approach, if you will, blended with extraterrestrial channeling, putting the extraterrestrial narratives and these ancient systems together to create hybrid systems, new systems. That's what we've done recently. We have the school, which we're so happy about, so proud of. So many.
Reimana.
Well, yes.
Preach it.
Yes, you know of it.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
No, yeah. I was super stoked when you mentioned it for the exact reason you said. It was like, we're taking all this data, all this old structures, and we're infusing it with intelligent extraterrestrials to like make this new superpowered thing for the modern age. That was so exciting. So yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit, or is that basically
Sure, I would love to.
As good as it gets.
So we have a lot of things going on with this school. It's designed to be student guided, student driven. We encourage that the student formulates their sense of purpose, their sense of why they are here. We take a purpose-based approach. We believe at the school that if you have a flimsy purpose, then you will have a flimsy existence. But if you have a strong purpose, then your purpose will be able to keep you upright when it feels like things are trying to knock you down or blow you over. Now, what makes a strong purpose is not what many people think. Many people think a strong purpose has to do with maybe dominating in the world, right? Or maybe being a strong force of either good or bad, or of selflessness or of selfishness, right? But when people think of a strong purpose, it's usually what they think of, one side or the other, right? More of a good Samaritan, oh, my strong purpose is a holy purpose, or more of a, like a hedonist, like, oh, my strong purpose is to make as much money as I can, or to date as many people as I can, or to travel as many countries as I can, right? It's, and these are the different types of purposes. Now, I have, with the team that we work with, developed a science to purpose engineering. We help people to craft their purpose. Now, most people know their purpose already. And I mean, if I guarantee you, if I just got you into a gentle, hypnotic state and I asked you very sincerely from the heart, why are you here on earth? I guarantee you any person would tell me. I
Good
guarantee it,
point.
right?
Yeah.
And that's because that's how in it is. That's how in our purpose we are, right? We are so in our purpose that very gently it can just be pulled out of people. And what I'll say is the following. In the school, not only do we help people to have that aha moment, right? Where they see their own purpose themselves, right? We just set the stage. They see it. But once they see it, now it's like, okay, you have this beautiful purpose. It is like having a beautiful gem, right? Raw from the earth, right? You found it. You unearthed this treasure. Now, we can keep it a raw gem, totally fine. But we could also wash it off a little bit, right? And maybe we wash it off with like a special water that helps us to maybe activate more multidimensional levels of it that we can now perceive, right? And maybe we don't just wash it off, but maybe we have a master mason who's chiseling it and making it into something really pretty, really beautiful. Right? And now all of a sudden you're like, wow, my beautiful crystal is now a type of sculpture. And now, you have this beautiful sculpture. But what does this imply? Well, you don't just have a holy sculpture on its own, right? It needs a temple. Right?
Okay.
Now, what is a temple in this analogy? It's your life. It is your life, right? What is this sculpture, this sacred idol that we're talking about here, right? This is the true you. Right? As you birth your true self, the world then becomes the temple of the true self, right? When you become God, when you awaken your God power, which is in everything, then the world becomes your temple, right? You're now the Holy Spirit dwelling in the temple, right, of the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you become. That's what the ETs are encouraging us to become. That's what we've always been. What's crazy is, it's like Abraham Hicks says when they talk about the changing of the dial, right?
Okay.
Now,
I don't think I've heard that analogy, but
sure. So I'll simplify it. I won't
yeah.
paraphrase it perfectly, but to my understanding, it's something like this. There's a dial, like a radio dial, right? And you can turn that dial and you get different radio stations, right? So
Okay.
most of us are listening to the radio stations of, I don't know, man, like maybe a trauma that happened when we were two.
Mm.
Or maybe it's connected to something like your father said to you that made a big difference when you were like getting your driver's license, or maybe it's connected to some type of powerful movie you saw. But there's so many things, right, that create what I would call psychic impressions, right? They leave a type of mark on us, and those marks, those are like radio stations, right? You can tune the dial to different ones. We're so busy tuning to the stations of the past that we're missing what's happening right here. We're missing the beauty, the miracle. It's right here, but we're not missing it. That's the thing. We're being bathed in it, but it's like people can't see it. People can't hear it. But all you have to do is feel it in yourself first. That's it. It's a matter of just feeling in your heart that loving connection to whatever it is that makes you come alive. And that's why we have the immortal purpose. Because if you have a purpose that does not die, you have a heart that will never die. And guess what? If your purpose is strong enough to help you fulfill your earthly mission from beginning to end, then your purpose will also make you a spirit master. When you transition your purpose, you'll continue to follow it in death. You will live on. And that's when many people become a spirit guide. They stick around now and now they're helping Earth, right? Because their purpose, which is always going to be about helping, Your purpose will always be helpful. Your true purpose will always be helpful. Even if it looks like a bad guy role or a bad girl role, your purpose is still helpful. Hey, man, if it weren't for villains, would we be having this conversation?
That's true. We need the
Yeah,
we
you
need the
need
bad guy to oppose. Yeah.
there's a certain level of balance that's needed with these powers. And they're not all evil's not all evil and good's not all good, is it? You know, I know many good people where
Right,
I'm
right.
like, wow, you got an evil side. I know many evil people where I'm like, wow, you are an angel. Like
Right.
it's the nature of existence. We're both, and our culture is learning how to come to terms with that. It's exciting, you know.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of like like an anime like Orochimaru, for example, and Naruto. Like the bad guy, they always have some backstory where it's like, oh, what they're doing actually makes sense from their point of view. Like they're not entirely evil, so to speak. Like it makes sense, like
Right, right.
to them, the evil things. So, oh, so the radio dials, yes. So the radio stations, and then you were gonna get into something about that. That was just a segue to something else you were going to talk
Sure. Well,
about. But I
we've
love
been
that
talking.
analogy.
There's many. I mean, I love it. We are traveling this library of content and topics. We really opened, I think, in a big way when we talked about the extraterrestrial directions, the extraterrestrial lineages, right? This is a story that's coming out now. It's a big thing that we are unveiling in the school. We're talking about the relationship of Nibiru. We're talking about the
Ooh.
relationship of the asteroid belt. We're talking about the relationship of the occult sun as extra powers and planets that are active within our solar system, that our occult sciences have not yet organized, and our physical sciences have not yet detected. But what I am saying here is we have the occult science channeled from Ryo describing these cosmic relationships and in many ways material physical relationships that the asteroid belt, Nibiru, and some of these other celestial bodies have to our current understanding of the solar system. So it's a bigger picture of the solar system. It's a bigger picture of the universe that you're not getting in other places, right? It's a whole other understanding of life. And it's a magical system of occult magic that's based on this new logic, that's based on this new model of reality. So it's a pure magic because almost no one has it except myself and the people I've trained. So that's what I like about it, right? All of the entities, all the things, these are things I have, built. We have built together and they have come to me. I say I built these entities. What do I mean? I mean, they come to me, they haunt me, they jump into my mind, they pull me, and they show me their world. I become them, and then they'll whisper to me something. They'll give me a word or a name, and then I'm left with an experience and a word. And now I have to figure out who the heck was that, and how do I get them to come when I need them. And that's
Interesting.
what our school is. Our school is about finding
Okay.
these beings. You call them ETs or angels or demons, whatever you want to call them. Whatever you call them. We find them, we name them, we learn how to play with them, and now you have a spirit guide team, spirit guide army that helps you to create and build your life.
Epic. Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I never thought before. Like I always thought like, oh, you just channel Ryo and that's it. but but you're actively finding more Ryos, so to speak,
Yes.
in this arena. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ryo is a persona. Now, when I say persona, what I mean is Ryo is like a being, right? Everyone knows him as this Sassani being who works with hybrid children. He is this, yes, but I want everyone to realize that what we call Ryo, what people are talking to when I'm channeling, it's not actually the being in that craft that we call Ryo. If it were actually that being, he would be here in front of you. But what are you getting? You're getting me. I'm a telephone for him, right? So you must keep in mind you're interacting with the telephone, not the entity directly.
Okay.
That's an important thing to keep in mind. So, what this means is there will always be a degree of separation between yourself and the entity coming through. This means people must come back to channeled entities again and again and again. Yes, they must get sessions. Oh, I need to go back to the channeler to get the wisdom. And I love doing sessions like this for people. Yes, I have worked with people for years. However, we are in a position now where we can teach people how to call these beings to them, how to talk to them, how to get the guidance. Because, my role is, number one, an educator, right? Through teaching about holistic medicine. I do acupuncture medicine, which I appreciate you mentioning this. I am an educator of health in that sense. I also am an educator of experimental therapies, and I am also an educator of what I would consider to be psychedelic therapies. I talk about these things, yes, from the traditional Chinese medical point of view. I talk about the role of psychedelics and how this affects the body from this Taoist and TCM perspective. So there's an educational role to what I do as Tyler. And with Ryo, there's also clearly an educational role where he's giving this information out, telling people about different ways they can live life, different ways to look at things. And the goal is for people to do what I do, right? And what is that? You know, I had one of these beings come to me. For me, one of my big awakenings was from Bashar. You know, I had some beings that came to me beforehand, but Bashar, right, was delivered into my reality like no problem. You know, came right in, and a lot of energy, a lot of power, mixed everything up in a good way. I mean, I needed that. And it helped me get on this path where I'm in a place where I'm very happy and I feel very blessed and very fortunate. And I know that this is a type of thing that everybody can create. This is what, you see, this is interesting, right? I'm going to sound like my mentor, but there's people like Joel Osteen, right? These like people who are talking about wealth, spirituality. They're not wrong at all, right? This is actually in the Bible. This is in holy books, but it's not talked about because, you know, there was a attempt to keep certain groups down and other groups up, right? So these parts of the story weren't emphasized. But we are told, right, that if we practice spirituality, we are literally told, like, abundance comes to you. Why? Because money is a symbol for what? Power, right? And what is power? Energy. How do you get energy? Spiritual practice. So there's a lot to unpack there, you know, about many things. But
yeah, so actually there's a few things. So I'm curious about two arenas here. You mentioned a mentor, and you also mentioned the Taoist thing.
yeah.
Oh, and the okay, so you actually answered a few questions. So I was wondering like why your channel name is HealthThyself. You kind of answered that. You had like a background in acupuncture and maybe like nutrition as well.
Sure.
But is that true?
That
Okay.
is, yes. I've
And
studied nutrition. I've studied public health. I've studied vaccines, which is so fun. I love that I know about vaccines. I know a lot about
it's
vaccines.
very convenient. Yeah.
Very
You're
convenient.
the
Very good to
go-to
be
guy right
informed.
now. Yeah.
Be informed about modern medicine always. And what else? I studied pharmacology. I've studied everything you could study. Now, I'm not a master at everything. Please, I will not claim that. But I know enough to be able to help people come to educated, not just educated, but intuitive, logical, and heartfelt perspectives as they move through life. That's what my role is as an educator, right? How do we take these
Yeah.
different ideas, these different modalities, these different concepts, and how do they work for you? Are they appropriate for you? Can they benefit you in any way? Do you need this? Or is it maybe just you need to forgive your father? You know what I mean? A lot of people, right? They want to do like ketamine therapy, but really it's like they just need to like do a family constellation session. But no
That's funny.
disrespect to people doing ketamine therapies. Please, I encourage it. Like
Yeah.
do what thou wilt.
I've heard it's good.
It's good. Yeah, I know people
Do
that have
it
been
with that will. Yeah.
yeah, I know people that have been healed by it too. You know, it's great. But please, let's
Yeah.
I'll stay on topic. I'm so energized right now. You have a stimulating aura. Very
Right
energizing.
on.
Yes.
Well, I did like an hour of this kind of like alchemy sort of meditation, like
Oh,
kind of right before, yeah.
great.
So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm extra kind of lit up right now. I mean, I got my Alchemist
Oh,
Prime
you
shirt on right
do
now too.
Alchemist Prime,
Alchemist
dude.
Prime.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
and it's got the Tai Chi too on it.
Oh yeah. So like so Paul, I'm new to your world, man. I'd love to know a little. I mean, I know I'm here with you, but please, like, I'd love to know. Like,
Right, you have no idea who I am.
I have no.
That's the
Yeah,
point.
it's. I don't know about a lot of people. Like I've kind of been in a cave, you could say, for 10 years, and only recently have
Holy
like
shit.
kicked the door open. I'm only recently like
All
pushed the
right.
boulder out. You know what I'm saying, man? So like, yeah.
Yeah, the
So
Jesus
so please
boulder.
forgive me if I should know and do not. It's no disrespect. I don't know a lot of things about the human plane. It's not my. It's a newer area
Cool.
for me. So please, I'd love to know about you, man. I mean, what?
All right.
Yeah, well,
Let's put a bookmark in that too. That's very interesting
yeah,
because I was like curious about your backstory and like now I'm curious why you've been in like a dungeon for 10 years and like what that means and stuff like that.
sure,
So
sure.
it's actually parallels me as well. Like literally, so like I began spirituality in 2012 with Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism. I didn't know like literally anything else up until then, mystical things or chakras. I hadn't heard about like any of it. But Theravada Buddhism is very psychological, so it appealed to me very much because I was like into math and science. And the reason I came to it was because severe health ailment
Mm,
that kind of started my spiritual path. I'm still dealing with that now. I'm finally trying to cure it. That was part of the alchemy session I did over there,
mm,
and yeah, so that was part of it. Also, like severe anxiety. And so that kind of began the spiritual path for me with Buddhism. And then from there, like I wanted to become a monk, obviously. Like, well, not obviously, but I wanted to be a monk. I couldn't be one because of the health issue. Like you have to be able to like sit on the floor and meditate, right?
yeah.
So yeah, but fast forward, eventually I discovered all these other modalities. I got my huge library right over there. You can't see it. But different systems, I studied them all. I finally got into YouTube. I started teaching people what I've been learning. And, I have a diverse portfolio on my channel. I do emphasize Buddhism, Theravada, Zen. I haven't gotten to Tibetan Buddhism yet, but I talk about Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I've talked about Gnostic Christian literature. I've talked about Archangel Metatron. I started doing the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And so my main emphasis though is the spiritual path to enlightenment, not just the esoteric things, but like specifically what is the vehicle that's going to get you to gnosis, the vehicle to the actual self-realization experience, because that's the main thing for me. That's like you said, if you ask someone their purpose, that's my purpose is to eventually attain enlightenment. So but like you said, I want to live it out in the temple of the world. I don't want to be that renunciate monk anymore. Like if I was given the opportunity, I want to attain it here and I want to show it to the public and everyone else who's interested. So, yeah, that's probably a good overview.
It's great. It's great. We need people sharing it. Right now it's like a hot topic because it is really the water in the desert, I think, for humanity. And now everyone wants it. Everyone's been so thankfully conditioned to accept it, right? Like meditation, spirituality, it's in all of our movies, quantum mechanics, all these very advanced concepts are now mainstream. So now when people
Yeah.
like us come in and we're talking about like the interconnectivity of all sentient beings, right? When we're talking about this, it's like we have so many things to reference and there's a common shared understanding that the whole society now is beginning to step into. So for practitioners, it's a very auspicious time to be alive. Like I think we have the
Yeah.
ability to really help people come into those places of self-awakening.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, especially with like enlightenment, I feel like I watched someone else's video today, Gigi Young. I don't know if you know her
Oh,
channel.
I've seen a little bit. Yes, yes, very
Okay,
cool
that makes
content.
sense
Yeah.
because she's the alien woman, so that makes sense. But yeah, so I clicked on her video today, and some dude was like, how do we actually ascend? Like, nobody talks about what does that actually mean? Like, what do we do to get there? And so I feel like tons of people still don't know about, like, the path to enlightenment, that there is, like, a methodology, a path of practice that gets you to this exalted state of mind. Like, it's not just like, oh, you got to read, like, Ramana Maharshi once, and then, like, maybe you earn some ascension points. Like, you've got to actually practice, like, advancing your consciousness.
It's
So yeah.
I couldn't agree more, you know. And some people would say I've had people present very interesting points with that where they say, you know, in the past the consciousness was lower, therefore you needed more discipline, you needed more focus, you needed more practice. And as a result of that, people developed really rigorous spiritual systems. And some of these people will say, and now the energy is gentler, it's lighter, the energy is higher, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, so you don't need to practice as much. What I would say is the following: there's a certain dimension of truth to that, right? There's a certain dimension of truth to that. If nobody practices, I would argue we don't ascend. We need somebody doing, right, the Dharmakaya meditation, right? We need that one
Dharmakaya,
guy.
yes.
We need that one guy who's like in a darkness retreat
Okay.
for a month, right? Like we need these
Yep.
people because they're how consciousness rises, right? Without people pushing the limits of the mind, the species doesn't cognitively evolve. So with our ability to download higher energies, I believe what is needed is some type of spiritual practice, even if it's basic, even if it's 10 minutes of like chanting with your eyes rolled up while focusing on the Big Dipper and rotating yourself. Like, I don't care if
All
it's
right.
that. Trust me, you do that for
Sounds
5 minutes a
good.
day. A lot of cool stuff will happen in your life, man. I just gave you trust me, do that. Like, please try that
Let's
out.
do it.
Yeah, we can do it here. You do it here, but the point is that something small is needed to do what? To pull down the energy that we talked about from those original stars. We call them the four fixed stars. We also think of them as the four, you could say, fixed towers. They think of them as the watchtowers.
Ooh.
So these are
Okay.
things that are said to be, they're said to be both immobile in that they don't move because they're stars, so they seem very slow in relationships to the planets. However, they also do change, right? So there is this type of fiery dimension to them. But I digress. I'm talking about stars because in my world, new stars essentially are entering in all the time, right? I've had, like, in my own life, new people come in. So it has, in a certain way, made me extra energized. I think that's why I'm extra
Nice.
talkative. But anyway, let's continue, please.
Yeah. All right. So tell you what. There's a few dimensions I want to touch on, but
Sure.
oh yeah, I didn't even say it before, like the parallel. So like the 10 years of dungeon thing. Let's just call it that. So I only started reemerging like this last year as well. So for you, like, I want to know about what was that spiritual path like, not only leading up to Ryo, but apparently you were still kind of closed off during some of the Ryo phase. If you're saying that you only kind of started branching out now in like a public sort of way, like outside of obviously your channeling sessions and coaching sessions and things like that. So yeah, where did Tyler Ellison begin his spiritual journey 10 years ago?
Sure. So I've been all over the place. I kind of had a wild past. I mean, I was a type of party animal, you could say. Like, that was
All
just
right.
the life I lived. I wanted to be extreme. And I did that for a long time. I lived a pretty extreme life. And it got me into trouble, I mean, I had trouble with my parents. I had trouble with, people who had some shiny, stars on their chests. You know what I'm saying? Like, it
Oh,
got me into,
okay.
it got me into some bad situations. Because I just was dissatisfied with life. And I felt that pushing the limits of my mind, pushing the limits of what was accepted in society was a way to transcend that boxed in feeling that I felt. So I just rebelled and I gave into that for years. And I remember one day I made the choice to just super lean into that. I was like, I'm just going to give into this chaos. Like, I like it. I want to revel in it. And I wanted to own it because I believed there was something good in it. I believed there was something worth pursuing. What was I pursuing? Some type of feeling that would somehow make me remember who I was. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for something to wake me up. So I was trying to find it in feelings, and that's why I lived this kind of party animal
Yeah.
lifestyle. And, well, did it work? Kinda. Kinda worked. It worked. Yeah, it worked. Eventually I had an awakening. I mean, like, yeah, it led to it. That's why there's, like, the gods of wine and, like, hedonism, right? The Dionysian.
Okay.
I never say that word. I always read it. The
Dionysian?
Dionysian, right? The
Dionysian.
Dionysian.
I don't know. Good
Yeah,
point.
Dionysus, right? But yeah, it's like this god of partying and wine. Why is that a god?
Yeah.
Because, like, you can transcend through altered states, and that's what I was attempting to seek, and it worked. Now, I don't recommend everybody go out and do that. Like, I'm a crazy person, please. Like, I'm both, like, very sane. I'm like an acupuncturist. I have a medical license to perform acupuncture.
Right.
In Connecticut, it's a wonderful. Now, with that being said, I'm also, like, a little crazy. I mean, look at my hair. I look like a mad scientist. I look kooky. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
intentional.
like if I cut my hair and then brushed it up, I'd look like you too. Yeah,
Hell yeah,
that's
yeah. But with the awakening, eventually what happened was I started listening to Bashar as I was going
Okay.
through this process of partying, right? And I started to eventually apply gradually over time more and more and more of what I was learning, right? And eventually I started getting a lot of synchronicities. And I started finding like, wow, I feel like I'm getting messages from the clock. Like I feel like, my dreams are manifesting in my life. I feel like the people I know, maybe this isn't the first time I've met them. Maybe I've met them in other
Okay.
worlds, right? As other
Cool.
people. I'm starting to like have a very visceral experience, where these things are becoming cognitively pressing. They are now on the forefront of my mind, and they eventually push me into a full blown psychedelic state that I just had organically. I was in my
Really?
room, and I essentially am coming off of this wild high from this thunderstorm. There's this thunderstorm, and I'm sitting outside meditating. And I am not like an adept in yoga or anything at this point. I'm just playing around with the basic techniques I know, but I'm gathering this chi from the lightning storm into me. I pull it in.
Cool.
I have these wonderful plant allies guiding me. I am in a trance to such a high state that nothing is moving around me as I move through my house, my parents' home at the time. I'm moving through the house. I was very young when this was happening. I think I was 20 when this happened.
Are you saying like your consciousness had left your body at this point, or you mean afterwards, and then you went to walk around your
Sure, sure.
house? Like,
So let me, yeah, thank you for asking specifically because these experiences can be very like wiggly to talk about. So I'm meditating outside under this thunderstorm. I'm pulling in its
yeah.
energy into me, and all of a sudden, these voices activate within me, and they're like, "Go inside." And
Oh.
I'm going then inside. I start moving, but how am I moving? I'm moving in slow motion. Physically, I am moving in slow motion,
Whoa.
and it is as if there is no movement around me. Yet I am aware of the natural movement of the moment, of course, but psychologically, energetically, and to a certain degree, biologically, how I was moving, it was like everything was slowed down. And I went up like 3 stories like this, right? This took me like a pretty nice amount of time to be able to complete, right? It was like a full-blown trance, and I get into my room, and I close my eyes and immediately start having visions. I'm seeing tunnel grids. I'm traveling through them. I'm seeing people that have like a rear view mirror, like you'd see in your car, over their third eye, like that. That was a symbol that I'll never forget. I
That's
saw these
crazy.
beings, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's something that I'm probably gonna meet one day. I guarantee it. I'll probably see that thing when I
Like a real person, not not even a symbol, just straight up beings with mirrors
Yeah,
there. Okay.
right. Yeah, in like dimension, I don't even know, man. Like the automotive afterlife, who knows, right? Who knows what that being is, man? That being's
The
wise though.
spirits of dead cars, yes.
Because what does that being do, right? It reflects your own third eye back to you, right? If I were looking at you and you had that there, like what would I see? I'd see like the upper part of my head, I think, back at me, right? So it's like a way to reflect somebody's higher consciousness back to them. So those beings that contact me with that symbol means, hey, we're going to reflect your third eye right back to you. And what did I do? I
Okay.
stayed in the trance, and they reflected my own third eye back to me, and they helped me get out of body. And I'm flying through the internet. I am flying through buildings. I am doing it at the speed of light, and I am going to important buildings. Buildings like you probably shouldn't go to. Buildings where I'm
All
like,
right.
am I actually doing this or is it just my mind? Who knows, right? I mean, who knows? That's the beauty of consciousness, right? That's the beauty of shamanism, right? When the shaman says, I saw a buffalo with wings, did he actually see a buffalo with wings or was it in a vision? To the shaman, both are equally real. This is a very fundamental thing in shamanism. So, some people, a shaman would say, yes, you flew through the internet. Yes, you flew into this building. That's what they would claim.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. But I was very out of body. And I'm seeing beings. I'm going to places. I return to my body. I open my eyes, and I'm having full blown visuals, open eyes. I'm seeing entities in my room. I'm seeing my energetic acupuncture meridians golden. I'm seeing
Whoa.
golden light circulating through me.
Sick.
I'm seeing both white and dark shadows moving through me. like koi fish, white and dark koi fish moving through my body. It was a wonderful experience. And of course, I told my parents. I was like, naturally, I was like, they'll understand. Their son is
They'll understand.
this reckless party animal. They
Oh,
won't
okay.
suspect that there's something.
Maybe it made sense then to them. Okay.
Well, I mean, it made sense in the ways that probably weren't the best. They were like, "Oh, he might have broke his brain this time." So I
Ah,
ended up
he
being
went too far.
sent. I got sent to a year-long rehab facility.
Oh,
Year-long, but it
shit.
was like an
Okay.
intensive healing rehab facility, like based on like spiritual development, self-help, like community service. And it was also like nice. Like it was in the city of New Haven, but it was a beautiful part of New Haven, and I was treated very well. And I also in this organization met a lot of great people, and I also very quickly came into contact with a myriad of different occult practices, spiritual techniques. I mean, because it was a year-long program, I had a whole year to myself to train, and
That's so awesome. Yeah.
yeah, so it's and to talk about it, my friend who got me into Buddhism, I met there. We'll call him Timothy, right? So I meet Timothy here at this rehab, right? This wonderful facility that doesn't even feel like rehab. I meet him there. He was in Japan before rehab, kicking heroin in a Zen monastery. Like he
Wow.
is withdrawing from heroin. He's being hit with a stick and he is seated for
Yep.
6 to 8 hours a day in meditation, right? Like it's non-stop for him. And he has a full-blown somatic experience and kicks the heroin, right? He kicks the addiction. But, his parents are like, well, that's great, but hey, man, we still want you to get treatment. So he ended up coming back to the States, and that was where I met him. But he exposed me to Dokchen Tibetan techniques, which was amazing, right? Very simple techniques, open-eyed gazing, right? Essentially doing this with the purpose of inducing visions. There was a dimension of Zazen that was also connected to his method that I enjoyed. He wasn't specifically a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner, but the method is very similar to what I've seen in Dokchen, I believe it's pronounced, Tibetan meditation. So he was probably my exposure to serious meditation. And I met him when I was 20. And he was giving me the techniques fresh from the monastery. We were in rehab chanting the Heart Sutra after like sweeping like the floors and stuff. Like we're in there with like gangbangers, party animals, like people that are trouble, and they're all in their 20s. So like it felt like the Jersey Shore of like Connecticut. It was hilarious, man. And then there's
That's
me and
awesome.
this dude just cleaning, meditating. I'm like putting crystals places. People are like, "Why are you even here, dude?" And I'm like, I don't know. Apparently, I was
I had a
like,
vision once.
yeah, I was like, apparently my behavior is like dangerous. I was like, apparently, like, these flowers and crystals are a little too much for mainstream conservative society, at least at this stage. Now they love it. Now my parents love crystals. Now my parents are like, oh, wow, you weren't insane. You were just kind of like eccentric and misunderstood. So it all, with time, everything plays out, and that's what's beautiful. I think we're all meant to become who we're meant to be, and we all become that with enough time, with enough experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have the what do you call it? The cathartic sort of realization of the people around you where they do realize, wow, you weren't crazy. You were actually kind of awesome this whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's nice.
yeah.
I think I'm still waiting for that for me, but we'll get there. But yeah, no, that's awesome. That was much more than I bargained for. I did not expect that to be the initiatory backstory, just a random sort of vision, and then you kind of had like a training, like a blessing, sort of 1 year of training at a what was supposed to be like a rehab thing, but it was a spiritual training retreat. That's awesome. Yeah.
It was
Okay.
quite nice, man. It was quite nice. It's funny telling this story too because a lot of faces come back to me as I talk about this. People I don't think about often, and when I have
Yeah.
conversations like this, it opens my heart back up to a lot of faces that I just haven't thought about. Some of them in over 10 years. So
Cool.
it's a great way to keep my story alive in my own life. And for a lot of people, it's new content and it's probably exciting. But for me, it's like, oh wow, this is how I like maintain my sense of self. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I imagine being 80 and like being able to listen to this. I imagine hearing your own
Good
story
point.
said back to yourself probably helps you keep your mind intact, you know?
Yeah. Right, right. Because like if you were like a 1,000-year-old being, it's like, oh yeah, I used to be that guy when I was like 20 years old. It's that kind of thing. That's kind of wild to think about. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. Some people they
yeah.
don't like listening to their younger self. Like they cringed because they're like, "Oh, I was so unevolved." But no, that's the best stuff to listen to. All of I feel like your original content, like it might be what it is, right? But it's the most important content. And I feel like every time a person watches it, it's always best to bless it with the most high level appreciation because I believe that that energy will go throughout time and you'll actually send that energy to an alternate past where there's this you who's absorbed that positive energy and now that moment's actually better because you in the future
Okay.
has blessed it with the appreciation and the love.
That makes sense because I mean that's literally the principle by which the Sassani are like communicating with us. Like we're just like parallel Earth number 50 to them, right? Like they
Yeah,
do work with different parallels, yeah. So that's kind of wild, and they're in the future, so that makes perfect sense. That's I'll have to do that.
yeah. Ooh,
Right
ooh.
on.
We
Yeah.
can talk more
Okay.
about
So
them if you like too. I mean, I told you my awakening, but I mean, I haven't really talked much about Ryo. I can get into that if you like.
yeah. Okay. So there's a few things. So I do want to get back to when the Taoist thing came in, and the ceremonial magic, but
Yeah.
as for Ryo, yeah. Can you give a lowdown on like what's your experience of Ryo or the collective that he represents, and then like why the name shift from Ryok to Ryo as well? Like on top of that.
Sure, sure, sure. So it's a dimension of masculine and feminine balance, right? So the first part of Ryo was what we call ryok or ryok, right? It had sort of both, right? It went from ryok to ryok to eventually Ryo, and now it's actually like he's got like 10 names. I just don't tell anyone.
Okay.
I just don't tell anybody because I don't want to confuse people. But yeah, I mean,
Can you give some secret names right now, or are they
I sure I'd
secret?
love to. I could give some names. I give some names for him. Yeah, but he came into my life through a craft sighting. This was in Connecticut. I was
Oh,
driving with coworkers. We were doing door to door sales. We were selling solar panels for this company called Next Step Living. No longer in operation, but at least in Connecticut, I don't believe they are. Maybe they are, but last time I checked, they are not a thing. Apologize if I'm wrong. Next Step Living, but I was working for them, and we were going door to door selling solar panels, getting people to sign up for these appointments. We're driving back, end of the day, and we see a triangle UFO hovering over the forest, not moving, with lights on the side, just there. And we're all trying to figure out what it is because we all see it. It's clearly a UFO, but we're trying to like think of what it might also be. We're like, maybe it's like a parking lot overhead light. Maybe it's like, I don't know, a giant triangle in the sky. Like, I don't know. Like, it's very, like, apocalyptic in a cool way, right? Number one, like, what's on the dollar bill? All seeing eye, right? We're seeing triangle UFOs. What is the part of the pyramid that's missing, right? The capstone, right? This triangle. What is the symbol for, the highest god, right? In the Kabbalah, right? It's seen as this triangle, right? Representing the Eod, right? The fiery principle of the divine, representing the part of the divine that's closest. So we see the triangle showing up all over the place. And now it is showing up, right, as UFOs. And that was what I saw. I saw a triangle UFO with about five, I want to say 4 to 5 people. It was a crazy day, man, when I saw it. And it wasn't the first time I had seen a triangle UFO, but that was the time I had
really?
experienced it the closest. That was the
Okay.
closest. I had seen it when I was still in Delaware, prior to my big, big awakening that I told you. But when I saw it in Delaware, it was further away. It was like a constellation. You look at it and you're like, is
Oh
that
wow. Okay.
stars or is that, what is that? But they would follow my vehicle. Like I would be parked and this constellation of stars would keep moving. So I knew it was like an
Okay.
actual UFO, like it was some type of stealth thing. Could have been government, sure. Could have been, I don't know. But either way, why did it happen to me? And like, why did it happen to me twice? And then why did it happen to me a third time in Connecticut, like super close to me with multiple people? Like, clearly, it's like someone's trying to get my attention. And hey, guys, clearly, you got it, man. Like, It's true. It's true.
Third time was the charm. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's true. Like they're persistent because they want people to work with them. They want it because if humans don't work with them, then we can't evolve, and then these species they can't evolve with us, and then it's like I don't know, man. It's just like harder. It's like I don't know. I consider it the same as being in like being by the pool, right? And you could get out of the pool by like pulling yourself up, right, and going like ugh, and like pushing yourself up, the pool edge, pulling yourself up. But it's a lot easier, right, when someone leans over with a hand, right, and like helps you come up. That's what these beings are, right? Like we can get out of the pool, we can ascend without them, yes, but it's a flip ton harder, so much harder that it's like what I have like personally unselected for my reality. Like for me, like I'm on that timeline of contact, right? And this is like what emanates from me, right? That's like what my world is. It is essentially an alien world that has landed on Earth. That's the only way I can describe it,
Yeah, right. You're kind of an alien yourself in that you're the telephone for the aliens.
Oh,
So that's
appreciate it.
you have landed as the alien. That's kind of interesting.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, but so yeah, how did the Ryo contact then begin from that point on? Like you already had your crazy experience, you already listened to Bashar videos. So then, yeah, when did Ryo begin channeling through you after that?
Sure. So I first began with Pleiadians. So I was channeling the Pleiadians for a few years. I started with an entity named Mira from the Pleiades. And this entity was incredibly useful, very knowledgeable. Now, I was already used to Bashar's info, right? So I definitely had, I think, a dimension of his style in my delivery. So even when I was channeling Pleiadian beings, the cadence would be really similar to Bashar. It was like I couldn't get away from talking like that in channeling. And that's because I was being set up to eventually channel the Sassani beings.
Okay.
I try to channel sometimes, like with other voices. It doesn't come as, it can be done. Like I can channel other entities that speak differently, but that way of speaking, that's the Sassani like manner of delivery. That's so ingrained in me. It's so natural. I can't even like help it at this point. And with Ryo, I leveled up and eventually started working with him. So after the Pleiadians, after channeling them for a few years, I started experimenting with just a myriad of different beings. I was like, let me try beings from Orion. Let me try beings from Sirius. Let me try beings from Cygnus. How about Regulus? How about Antares? How about Cassiopeia? Right? How about Andromeda? Right? There's all these like places, right? And there's only so many voices for extraterrestrials on the internet, right? There's a lot of big voices. There's the Pleiadians, the Sirians. I've named a lot of them, right? But you don't hear about the Regulans a lot.
No, yeah.
Exactly, right?
We need somebody to bring those guys through.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't hear about the Saturnians. What about the people on Saturn? Why do we have no channelings from people on Saturn? Now, there's people on Saturn. Why are we not talking about them? Why are we not? Right? So that's what Ryo's bringing. Like, Ryo's filling in all these gaps that exist because that's what he's designed to do. I mean, he's like a tool. I mean, he's a being with a family and like a heart, but he's also like, and he's like me. I compare myself to an instrument. Right? So he has a certain function.
An oracle.
What is his function?
Yeah.
To fill in these gaps through bringing people up, right? Through bringing people up, through helping raise the frequency. Realizations are just had across the planet, and all this information is essentially remembered, right? It's remembered through conversations like this, where we're talking. It's remembered through dreams. It's remembered through finding like a mysterious book, and you get ancient secrets, right? The remembering of who and what we are, the awakening of who and what we are, it happens in all types of ways. It comes through the internet, comes through TV, it'll come through any avenue. Whatever the path of least resistance is, consciousness will find humanity. It's just what it is. The higher realm will pull us up and we will grab on and say, all right, let's go.
It's time, yeah.
Because what does it say, really? This is the paradox, right? What does all the Buddhist teachings say, right? The simple of the simple is just let go. Right? You have an attachment, let go. Right? Just let go. Let go of letting go. Just let go. Right? And when we say let go, really what are we saying? We're saying hold on. But what are we holding on to? Nothing. Because nothing, emptiness, non-existence is the only fundamental thing. So when we say, hey, surrender, let go, we're saying, hey, hold on to the only thing that's actually real. Nothing. And that is how
Good
you
point.
live forever. That's the immortal path. That's the humor in it, you know?
Right on. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you, thank you.
Okay, so you sampled a bunch of different star beings, and then Ryo eventually started coming through, and you're like, I like this guy, and our energy feels right, so we're gonna stick together. And is that kind of just how it progressed from there? He was just
More
like,
or
hey,
less,
you're
I
supposed to be
liked
my
it. When I
teammate.
started channeling him, it started out as a general message from the Sassani collective. So it was him, but it was more general, less of his persona, more of his whole people, but kind of through his filter, through his access point. And
Yeah.
I was channeling him as this collective consciousness for a few months, and I liked it, right? I felt like it was useful. People liked it, but I wanted more. I could feel that it was like not as intimate as it could be. And this was before, right? I had like agreed to work with him, right? He asked me. He was like, "Listen, you can, but it will change like your whole life. Do you really?" They invited me. They were like, "Do you really want that?"
Cool.
And I was like, "Of course I do. Change my whole
Thanks
life,
for the
please."
invitation. Yeah, let's do it.
And yeah, and then I said yes, and then it just took off. I just kept. This is what I did. You know that movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey?
Yes.
I said yes to everything. I was inspired by that. I said yes to and everything that came my way. I got like an agent in like 3 weeks. I like started getting like
Wow.
sessions. Like it just started happening just through saying yes
Okay.
to this energy. Now, this is very different, right? Because this is like alien energy. So it's like very like it's how would I? It's very reactive. You touch it, and like bring. You know what I mean? So I'm lucky because my path had a lot of energy behind it. So I only had to like do so much with it, and a lot just started happening. But many other people, right? They might be painters, they might be musicians, right? And they have to spend hours with their craft, you know. And I have spent hours with mine. I mean, I channel up to 5 hours a day. You know, sometimes 5 days to 6 days a week. I've been doing this
Wow.
since about 2021. I've probably been at this level of consistency. Yeah, I started like
Okay.
really channeling in 2020, like big time for the internet and people who, I say big time for the internet. I mean, in this, niche, sort of beautiful and ever expanding channeling alien world, right? I started kind of taking off there right in 2020. And then before that, though, I was in experimental mode. And the story of how I went from collective to Raya was the following. I'm in this channeling group. There's like 4 or 5 of us, and we're all practicing together, and we're all attempting to pull an entity through, right? And I'm working with the Sassani, and the whole group is too. It was a Sassani channeling group. And I, one day, I told you I had this desire to get one being. So I said, hey, everybody, I want to pull an entity through. I think there's one that wants to come through. I'm going to try to pull him through my channel and just like grill him, like interview him, get as much as you can. I told him, I was like, ask for his name, ask for like his specialty. I like gave them a list, and they were this group still exists. These people, you can still find them today. They're wonderful people. Some of them are very talented too. They're all great. They're all talented, but there's some where I've really been blown away. I mean, there's some guys in that group that have really changed me in terms of their content, seeing what's possible. But I pulled Ryo through, and it was crazy when his name came through. His name was, he said it like a snake. It was crazy. It was so like, it was so, it was like a whole other level of channeling for me. Like his energy coming through was
Wow.
different. Like it was
Okay.
very, oh, like someone's like entered the room. Like I knew what they meant when they said, hey, this will change you. Like when he came through, I was like, oh, like, it sounds funny, and I say this respectfully, but because we're all in charge of our paths. But when he came in, it was very much like, oh, this dude's in charge now. Like let's let him like take. It was very natural. I was like, let's let this happen, because it was such a powerful, like confident, naturally authoritative energy without asserting oppressive dominance in any way. It's like authority that comes from experience, and so it's like a true authority of what we value, which is real life knowledge, real life experience. And that's why people love when they talk, because they can feel that there is this undying energy of truth behind every word. And that's why I love them. And that's why I work with them to this day, because they've not only have they got man, these beings, like I say they got me to this point. What I mean is, yes, I made choices. I said yes, I did work as we all do. But really, I mean, the more free I become, the more I realize I have almost no control. The more liberated I become, the more I realize that like this was a story that was already written. Like this already has happened. This story is already over. This isn't even happening, you know. And I don't want to get too meta. I don't want to jump off the cliff of, you know, tangible to completely intangible. But, you know, what I want to say is that's intimidating, right? That's going to be scary for people. Saying this is not real, saying this is like already happened, your life's already over.
Already happened,
what?
yeah.
What? But sometimes we feel that, right? We feel those deep existential weights, those confusing moments of loss and emotional whirlwinds, and we say like, you know, something helped me, right? I was very lucky. Like I say they got me through this because I was in a position where I was able to say like someone like please help, right? And that's these beings, because I had the connection, they came and they helped me through it. So they, you know, they helped me get here. And I think they helped me got to that point of being open enough to ask for help, right? I think that, right, that thing that looks like, you know, oh, I did it. I was helped along the way. I mean, you could say my acceptance of help, that's something 1,000 people chose, not just me. You know, like I don't think we ever make an action really, or a choice on our own, really. Can you?
Yeah.
How can you ever be on your own? Only like the source could possibly do that. And an avatar for the source theoretically could do that. I don't say that that's impossible, you know, that is possible. But that's, of course, a special situation. but hopefully
That's a fascinating idea.
A more popular one over time.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man. Awesome. All right, hold on. Let me check my notes.
Sure, dude. By the way, I'm having such a great time, man. This is, you host a great show.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of funny. Well, yeah, I'm just like listening to you and like just taking it all in. But yeah, you know, I try to ask good questions when they come to mind. But yeah, there's so much to touch on here.
So I think we talked to. So we just sort of wrapped up with some of the contact experiences with Ryo. The original name that came through, right? So he was like, "My name is Ryok," like that. And I remember when he said it, I was like, it felt like he said it in one ear, like he began it in this ear, and then finished in the other. Like the word was like Ryok.
It's a round sound.
Like it went
so
through me like that. It was so crazy. So he was Ryok for a while. I made that ryok. I liked ryok because ryok to me represents the sun and it represents royalty, like Rei, like REI, representing solar energy, royalty, kingship. That's why we have Reimana, right? The energy of kingship. Right? So ryok was a reference to this, right? This like royal energy. Essentially the royal tree, right? The oak tree. That's specifically what it was a symbol for. So it's a reference to a sort of alternative understanding of the tree of life, right? Like the royal tree. What is the royal tree? Your spine, and that is why Leo, right, the king, rules the heart and the spine, right? That's the royal tree. That is the ryok, or the rayok.
Okay.
Yeah, the rayok.
Fascinating. I didn't even think to ask, like, does it mean something? That's crazy. Okay.
Yep, so it's literally tree of life. It's literally, like, that's what it means, literally. Like, the royal tree.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I like the original name better, Ryok. It just sounds cooler.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh,
but
well,
tell
I
you what.
appreciate the feedback, man. You know, I changed it because I felt like I changed that name because I felt like I was having a type of identity crisis, but also I could feel the energy was shifting. It was changing, right? And as I was shedding the parts of me that I needed, right, the K fell off. Right? It went to Ryo.
Yeah.
Right? So even though, like, I feel you, I liked the original name, but there was this big energy shift that happened where the only balance was another name. Like, it was like another entity at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And Ryok was very powerful when he came through at first. And he's powerful now, but now he's also shifting and is in a type of return process. So are you familiar with the concept of what Bashar has talked about, right? The different hybrid races. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, there was like 6 or 7 of them.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yes. And the idea is that they all at the end come back together, right? And form like a super group.
Oh, right. Okay, because that's what we're working on now with humanity, right? There's going to be like some ultimate like seventh hybrid race of some kind.
Exactly. Yeah, we're seeing that now with all
Okay.
of the different like groups of our planet blending, with everyone becoming so global and international. We are
Yeah.
eventually going to end up a golden species. Like our skin color will be gold, right? Bashar said that, and that's not just Bashar. Like you can find that in prophecies. Like there's like ancient
Really?
prophecies that talk about golden humans. It's a reference to
Okay.
Atlantis being reborn, right? And instead of it being,
Yes. All right.
a war-based Atlantis, right? This is an Atlantis of peace, an empire of peace.
The golden
The
Atlantis.
golden
Yes.
Atlantis,
Okay.
right?
I was
Yes.
just thinking of that today. I
Wow.
was like, this is, well, I think of it all the time, really, but specifically like an hour ago, I was like, yeah, this is the new Atlantis, this age, this America specifically. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I would go as far as to say we are picking right back up where we left off.
Yep. Right before the 8 destructions or whatever, 3 destructions.
Oh my God, I know, man. I know. What a crazy time. We're
Edgar
lucky.
Casey.
We're lucky. I say lucky, I mean blessed. But I like to say lucky because lucky is fun, but it is true. I mean we are, in a lot of traditions, right? They believe that there are gods who protect the fabric of reality. Like isn't that nice? Isn't that nice to
That is
believe that
nice.
there's a power that literally is just making sure space and time don't eat each other?
Yeah.
Like that's
That's a good
beautiful to me,
concept.
right? Because now that that's a being, now you can interact with it, right? You can make it an offering, you can pray to it. You can make a shrine to it. You could channel it. And now what? It's not just a power that does that in the universe. Now it's a power a person can call upon. Right? And that's what these entities are, right? These entities, they are beings like us, but they are also anchors for the energies of stars, the energies of planets, the energies of black holes, the energies of quasars. Like myself, right? I'm a Leo. So what would I be an anchor for? I'm an anchor for the sun, right?
Okay, yeah.
I
I
also
was gonna
have
say
this.
Regulus, but
Oh yeah, yep. Thank you. Oh, I love the shout out.
yep. Yeah, yeah. Alpha Leo, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyways.
man. It's a great energy, and there's a big Taurus connection I have too, and that's been real fun. I've been doing the green to get into the Taurus energy. We're in the Taurus time now, man, and what a
Yeah.
blast, right? So yours side? Can you say yours one more time?
My sun sign?
Yeah, let's go with that first. That'd be great.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm Scorpio sun, 4 degrees,
That's
so
why
towards
we're
Libra.
meeting now. that's why we had to
Yeah.
wait. We had to wait for your eclipse
Oh
and your
yeah.
full moon, man. That's
Yes. Right.
why.
It was my eclipse.
Your
Yes.
eclipse, dude. My
No.
my,
Yeah.
da- my daughter's a Scorpio, man. It's great
Oh,
power.
nice.
Scorpio energy is my favorite. People don't like it.
Right
I
on.
say, it's like people that don't like wine. It's the same thing. You just
Okay.
got to get used to it. Drink it and then you love it.
Just watch our mystical content. You don't have to hang out with us. Just let's talk about mystical things. Yeah.
Dude, that's so
You
great.
know.
Oh man, I'm happy to know that. Just again, the timing, right? Because to us it looked like
Yeah.
rescheduling, right? But what we can see
It
it in the
did.
calendar. It's like, oh, this is the best time. And now my Scorpio
Yeah.
daughter's like, I know I'm hanging out with her for the weekend. So now there's like double Scorpio energy here. It's like perfect
Ooh,
timing.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy because, like you said, now so we had the solar eclipse, and then this lunar eclipse kind of finished it off. And yesterday was when I kind of had like the culmination of like some realizations from my path. It's constantly been changing up and down. What do I do? What do I pursue? Like, am I a Buddhist? Am I a mystic? Like, what am I doing here, life? And I feel like a lot of it came together yesterday, specifically on that eclipse. And it kind of like finished a cycle from, what is it, 12 years ago or something? Leo King, ironically, the astrologist on YouTube, he mentioned this. It completed a 19-year cycle, actually, I think he said,
Oh my God.
from the last eclipse.
Wow.
And so for me, it really did bring about a culmination from that lunar eclipse when I was 13, when the Red Sox won the World Series on my birthday. It was crazy.
Wow.
And they broke the curse. And so, yeah, no, I'm glad you rescheduled, though. You were like, actually, why don't we wait till after this eclipse stuff is done? Because things will probably go better. So it
Yeah.
worked
Oh,
out.
dude. Yeah. So much better, man. So impressive too. I was just winging it. I kind of just wing it. I'm like, let's fingers crossed. Let's see if it works. And normally it does.
You're like, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Luckily I have people that help me because otherwise I'd be I'd be a tornado. I have so many people that help me make sure I can meet with people like yourself who are, you know, your time's so precious. So I love being able to honor my commitments, and fortunately, I have people that now help me do it. So you've helped me too.
Awesome.
You were so kind, so flexible with rescheduling. So I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, right. I was like, whatever's the best time for him. Like, what I want doesn't really matter here. So
It's kind. It's
yeah.
very kind of you. Thank you. A lot of people. I don't know a lot of people that think like that. It's very selfless.
Really
Really. Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
Sure. I mean,
Well, I mean, ultimately,
yeah.
yeah, okay. It's just it's just a YouTube chat, so it's like whatever works best for his schedule, I can just work with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, sure. Sure, Mel.
yeah,
I always like to. Well, yeah. I'll save it. I'm at that level in the conversation where my brain will start just saying anything that comes to my mind. So I'm starting to like draw it back. I'm like, hold on, let's think a little bit before we speak, just a little bit. I find I
let's
normally don't
structure
think
this.
before I speak, but when I get tired, I find that's when it's most important to think before I
Really?
speak.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna say like that's when your cognitive like restraint starts activating. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, totally. Because I
Yeah.
feel like if I'm too lazy, I might say things carelessly. I mean, hey, maybe I'm just being paranoid because could anything really be done carelessly in a universe that's based in care? Can I really do something careless ultimately? I mean, that's what's funny about this. Like, you know.
That's a good point. Ultimately, no, but like in terms of relative things working out well in the world, yes, you could say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and then you get a bad relative result that matters to us as humans. So yeah,
That's true.
that's a
Yeah.
good point. I like that though.
Yeah. I like the way you said it. I like it's a relative correctness. And I think that's
Yeah.
important because that is an earth skill, right? That's the skill of discernment. And it's like one of the most essential skills because if you don't have discernment, then it's really easy for people to get you to care about things that actually have nothing to do with like what you're designed to do. But you'll say, "Oh, that's a good thing." And that's maybe the last thing you want to do.
This seems good. Oh,
Yeah,
donate to your
how
your
maybe
political
we've all been
campaign.
there,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great way to say it. Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, like most humans, like our default state is just listening to what other people say without thinking about it, and it's really easy to get strung along into a bunch of things that don't actually serve our highest good, or they're just wrong or something, and we don't realize it because no one really reflects upon it,
Yeah,
and
it's
the idea of agendas too, even so.
that's such an important point. I think that's why we need folks whom are representatives of truth, right? So you're representing some wonderful truths from the East, and I mean a lot of Western truths with your studies in Gnosticism. I mean, you're I love it. You're very eclectic. It's great to see, and these are like the big truths. I mean, these are the things that not only is it important that we talk about them, right? Because these things are making a huge comeback right now. It's just irrefutable. Everyone's getting into the occult right now. Everyone's getting into like quantum mechanics. Like there's a whole thing happening right now. It's just going to keep getting bigger. But I'm getting so excited that I'm like short circuiting. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. But that's what happens when I have this much fun at night. But anyway, the
Right
future's
on.
coming. Buckle up. And even if I lost my train of thought, you won't have to
That's
lose
okay. I
yours.
got notes here, bro.
Yeah.
We're
What were
cool.
we talking about? Can you remind me?
All right, so we covered Ryo pretty well, your experience with Ryo. Then we got into some metaphysical stuff. But what I wanted to get into with you was actually, oh man, there's so much. Tell you what, let's get into the Taoist stuff, the universal healing
Yeah.
Tao instructor thing, the Taoist energy activations. Let's talk about that portion of your dimension, your offerings. Like, how'd you get into Taoism? Was it like a mystical teacher? Was it books? Like Secret of the Golden Flower, Zhuangzi, texts like that? What's
Well,
going on?
I actually got into Taoism uh, through a cartoon. I got into the show Avatar: The
Really?
Last Airbender on Nickelodeon. I think
Oh,
that was my first
right on.
exposure to Taoist ideas. Um,
No way.
and I really internalized a lot of the lessons from that show. It really impacted me. I also was really into the show Teen Titans and the character Raven.
Yes, that was awesome.
Yeah, I was really drawn to
Yep.
her energy and the meditations she would do. I just like something about that. I wanted to emulate it so badly. It seemed so like not just attractive, it felt like a part of me I like had already been cultivating but just had forgotten about. Like it felt like a room in
Interesting.
my mind I had forgotten about. And then, that over time led me into like things like Alan Watts and his commentary on Zen, his commentary on Zhuangzi, um, his commentary on many of these different teachers and teachings. And over time, and I gathered information from many sources. I tried to put it all together, and at a certain moment when I was ready, somehow a Montauk Chia, Grandmaster Montauk Chia video came into my feed, and this dude,
Okay.
this small, like kind of interesting looking man, very confident. This is before I knew he was. I didn't know he was a Tao master. I didn't know what like Taoism really was at that time, but I could feel his chi. I was like, this dude is
Cool.
confident. I was like, this dude is really confident in what he is talking about. He was talking about the pineal gland making DMT in darkness. He's talking about this like in the 80s. Like he's
Wow.
leading
Okay.
retreats where people aren't eating for like 3 weeks. They're in darkness with him doing alchemy. And like he's telling them how to make DMT in their brain. Like, when no one's talking about this. And I'm watching this dude on YouTube and I'm like, what the hell? I don't know his name. A week goes by and then someone brings his name up at work. My coworker out of nowhere is like, hey, have you ever heard of Tao Garden and Montauk Chia? And then she proceeds to show me, the pictures. She knows a dude, like this guy who helped built and designed the spa, the Tao Garden in Thailand. Like she was friends with this guy.
Wow.
Um, and
What?
this was like right at my workplace. This is 1 week after I get his video. I find my coworker knows people that helped build this dude's like facility or designed it or something like this. And I'm like, what the hell? So sure enough, over time I get on YouTube. I start getting books. I start reading and taking notes. And I knew I wanted to do acupuncture at that point. I knew that's what I wanted to go for. But I didn't know much about Taoism. I didn't know that it was Taoism that gave rise to acupuncture. I was not aware of this. But
Oh. Okay.
because I was already gearing up for acupuncture training and now I'm finding Montauk Chia, I just put two and two together, right? Or one and one together, right? And what I did now was I'm going to school for acupuncture and I'm studying Montauk Chia's system like I'm studying my university level acupuncture. So I'm like devouring all the Montauk Chia's contents. I'm taking all the seminars. I'm driving to meet instructors. I'm meeting instructors from around the world through the internet. I throw myself into it. So my acupuncture training has just been constantly reinforced with all this Taoist alchemy and knowledge. So that's how I got into that. That's how I got into the universal healing Tao. And it's, in my opinion, the most direct, gentle, comprehensive, and practical spiritual system that I am aware of. It is very well organized. I've built Reimana, and a lot of Montauk Chia's work has influenced Reimana, right? As has the Kabbalah, as has the work of Jerry Allen Johnson and many great masters, right? There's many people I could reference who have helped build this system through their contributions. But even with that being said, my system's quite new. Montauk Chia has had this since the 80s, refining it, tweaking it. He's always teaching. Tours the world almost every year. In COVID times were the only times he did. He did everything online. And now he's touring again. We are back in the touring cycle because everything is permanently open. Because that's the new law of the land, right? Permanent playtime, right? If people remain permanently playful in their heart of hearts. That's what we've agreed upon. That's what our equinox was all about. So we're at a very exciting time. And he'll actually be in New York. If you want to, I'll be going, just saying, if you want to come to the
Really?
city, yes, we could meet.
What is it? What is it? A seminar?
It is. It's a 4-day seminar, but you can do 1 or 2 day passes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool because like it's crazy that you're saying like he's kind of been around for a long time, and I've never heard of him until like he was on London Real. Like I don't know if you know that
Oh, sure.
YouTube
I
channel.
I have seen
Yeah.
that too. Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that's literally the only place I've seen him. But I did look into him a bit, like before this podcast, and like I saw that he was from Thailand or whatever. But yeah, no, that's cool. I will look into that.
Yeah.
because synchronicity.
Yes, yes.
So
What I think he is, he's so many things to say, but what we've done. Yeah, let me actually gather my thoughts. I'm so excited. I'm talking over myself. I think I'm actually overheating. Let me get a little water. Actually, I've realized I'm a little
you're like,
dehydrated.
wait a second.
Let's take 2 minutes. Is that all right? A little
No,
H2O pause.
that's cool.
Heck yeah, I'll be right back.
All right, yes. So, okay, so you devoured Montauk Chia books. You read other books and the acupuncture. Okay, so what is a universal healing Tao instructor then? Like, what is that?
Sure. So these are instructors that go through various levels of training depending on their level of certification. They're trained in Mantak Chia's commentary and philosophy and teachings that relate to Daoism and Taoist practices. The tradition, the Universal Healing Tao, is a non-religious tradition. It is a spiritual tradition, meaning you could be a Christian, you could be a Buddhist, you could be any world religion, right, and practice this. It does not require that you believe in any god. It is specifically utilizing the forces and powers of nature to energize your health and to sharpen your mind and energy field so you can create more of what you want in your life. It's a very sophisticated system, very complete. It helps people with emotional balance. It helps people with their relationships, both socially and romantically. There's a big emphasis on the sexual alchemy practice and training the heart to be able to give and receive unconditional love and to multiply the orgasmic power with the partner. And that can lead you and the partner into shared spiritual states. So we teach in the Universal Healing Tao the couples practices for people that want to bring their love life to a higher dimensional level. And we also teach solo practices for people that want to go into the higher spiritual states. So we teach levels below the sexual alchemy for people that don't want to explore the spirituality in that way. For some people, sexual energy is not what they want their spiritual experience to be like. So you don't have to explore the tantric path to practice these Taoist techniques. However, there does come a point in the journey to go higher in the spiritual evolution. The sexual energy is required. If it is not there, it's like you don't have the rocket fuel to go further into space. When I began my channeling really improved when I practiced the sexual alchemy techniques. That
Wow. Okay.
noticeably improved my channeling ability overnight. Rapid. So it's a very, very real thing. It will turn on your power, whatever your special gifts are, your spirit gifts. These techniques turn it on. That's why I like them.
Cool. So it's like you're accessing Kundalini kind of
Precisely.
directly, maybe.
Precisely, yes. And in a way that is, in my opinion, a little simpler, a little more direct, but it does require a lot of practice. You have to repeat it and repeat it. Because at first, right, you're like imagining you're bringing the sexual energy to your brain. You have to imagine what that might feel like. But before you can imagine that, you have to imagine that you can feel your spine with just your mind and not your hands, right?
Okay.
But then you might have emotional issues stuck in your spine. So there might be parts you can't feel. So we have to work on that. So as you can see, to actually get to the sexual energy, right, we have to teach like 5 to 6 basic skills so they can do that. And that's why it's a beautiful system, because you get those basics that build up your level of intelligence and energetic proficiency so you can eventually get to that level and then really thrive. For me, it was the sexual alchemy that drew me to Montauk Chia system. I remember thinking, wow, I have a lot of libido. I have a lot of power. I was a young man, and I was like, I feel like I have too much, actually. I almost feel like this power, like I feel like I can't even control it. I feel like it controls me, controls my thoughts, my mind. I was like, this is unfortunately more of a burden. This thing that's supposed to be a gift is becoming a burden, and that's not fun. So I wanted something to help. And that's when I started training in his system. And it did help. But, it helped not in the way I expected. Yes, it helped me feel better in the moment. And it helped me to heal, right, my addiction to sexuality. But what it really helped me to heal was my sense of separation from the source. Because when you start doing these techniques, yes, it will help you heal whatever you're trying to work on right away. But because it's such a powerful spiritual technology, if you stick with them, it starts giving you higher insights, higher downloads. And then before you know it, you're like, you haven't just healed that thing, you've moved past that, and now like you're advancing your career, or maybe you're healing or your relationship with someone else, or you'll find that the system just encourages you to continue to prosper and to share that prosperity. It's a virtue-based system. We see virtue and chi and breath as the currency. That's literally all it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
The Tao, the Da, and the Jing. No, I'm just kidding. I know
Hey,
Jing
that's
means
not bad,
classic,
man. That's right. Yeah, that's right, dude.
I mean,
That's it. That's it
the
right
way,
there.
the virtue, and the book.
Yep.
Right
That
on.
was great. My alarm
Okay.
went off right when you said that. I got my stove going on, and
Oh.
right when you crushed it, it was like beep 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 beep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was like, is that a kitchen timer?
Yeah, yeah, totally, man.
Right on. Yeah, no, the that sounds cool. I am interested in that sojourn to New York. I will think about that. But yeah, because I've been, like I said, I've been getting into Taoism a lot lately, just because I knew you were into it. Obviously, I wore my T-shirt for that reason.
Yes.
But yeah. So like you said, it is kind of like the baseline sort of spiritual system, you could say, kind of like just a like the baseline spirituality, like without frills, without sectarianism, I guess. And I didn't. There's a lot of literature I didn't realize existed around this. Like you hear about the Tao Te Ching, and maybe like some people know about the Zhuangzi, but then also I just learned about the Qing Jing Jing, and like all these other classics that like people in the West don't hear about ever. And even the I Ching is kind of part of the Taoist thing now, like with Confucius's commentaries upon it. And The Secret of the Golden Flower, I just kind of discovered that recently. That one's really fascinating, and it's apparently kind of secret too. And so yeah, I love it. I love the Taoist sort of consortium, and I do want to look into it more. So I might actually start exploring more of Montauk's material henceforth.
Sure. Yeah, I think you'll like it. He has a good book on the Tao Te Ching that he co-authored with another Taoist practitioner who actually, he's more of, if I'm not mistaken, he's more of a priest. He's more of a religious Taoist, where Montauk Chia is more of a practice-based Taoist, right? Less religious, more spiritual in the approach. But that's
Okay.
a book you can look into. What I love about Montauk Chia's books is he co-authors it with some brilliant minds. So there's like it's like a mastermind. When you're like looking at his books, it's like the work of like four great people put together, with him kind
No
of
way.
feeding the bulk of the content, right? And then other people are adding their things, growing. It's very, from what I understand, it seems to be very collaborative. So all the books will have that kind of flow to them, and you'll find there's a lot of emphasis on practice. You're going to find a lot of diagrams of the body, secret energy meridians, like advanced alchemy practices. There's crazy stuff in these books. Now, there's
Sweet.
really crazy books out there, but in terms of alchemy, this is some of the craziest stuff you'll find. Now, Taoist magic, I can show you some crazy books out there. There's some crazy books out there, man.
Taoist magic.
But Taoist
All right.
alchemy, Mantak Chi is like, that's his area. He's very, very, he like prides himself, he deserves to. It's a good area, and the world needs what he's bringing. So that's what you can expect in his book. And there's also a lot of great, deep philosophical, spiritual commentary and elaboration on each of the techniques, what they mean, and how that relates to the Taoist principles and value structures. So it's a lot of great stuff in there.
Nice. I think we need more visibility for that kind of stuff because, like I said, I don't know there's no like prominent Westerners like doing this on YouTube at least, like talking about this stuff. So,
You know what's interesting?
that's
There
awesome.
are, but they exist in their own kind of like worlds. You know what I mean? Kind of like myself, right? Like I have a nice amount of people, like 5,000. There's people out there with more subscribers than I have, and I'll hopefully have more, in the future when this video is released. But
Hopefully, as a result of this, yes.
nevertheless, there's some Dow Masters, right? They have big followings. Like they have like over 100,000 subscribers. Let me see. I'm trying to think. There's so many people out there I can think of,
Do you,
but
do you know George Thompson?
I don't know George
He's got
Thompson. No,
really,
no.
because his channel's kind of awesome. So he doesn't go like in depth on the stuff that you're talking about, like the legit like super deep Taoist stuff. But he spent 6 months at the Wudang monastery with Master Gu, and like he learned Taoism and Tai Chi and stuff. And then he brought it back to the UK. But his channel, he just shares about qigong and meditation and other Taoist things like that. So,
Ex-
but he's got like 200,000 subscribers, so I figured you might know him.
Yeah, no, it's that's what I mean, right? It's like these people, they exist in their own little worlds, even if they have like a big audience. Like it's like I'm in my little alien world,
Interesting.
right? When I say
Yeah,
little, it's bigger than my channel, because it's a
it's
big
popular.
network, of all the
Yeah,
ET channelers. But still, right? It's like we're all kind of in our worlds, and what we have to do is bring these worlds together. That's like the goal right now.
yes,
We got to pull these players
it
together.
is.
And that's what we hope to do with the school. And when I say hope, I mean it's what I'm watching happen. And we've taken the Kabbalah and we have taken the Taoist systems and we've put them together. Not only that, we have flipped them upside down. So we are doing inverted, upside down magical practices. We are doing things that like don't make sense to anyone who doesn't understand the specifics of our system. And that is how the system remains very pure. If someone found my system, they would look at it and laugh. They wouldn't know what to do, and that's what keeps my system, forever safe. Because those who would
Okay,
misuse it are those who would make fun of it and never touch it. Those who are here to
interesting.
appreciate it are the ones who will be naturally drawn to it, and it can only do good in the world. We've built it like that. Ryo, myself, and all of the people involved. That was our intention. Let's make a system that cannot be abused. And we don't say that as a
Okay.
challenge. I mean, hey, do it that way. But what we do say is we built it with that intention of this is a system to help. It's a system of the helpers. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. The white path or the right hand path, I think it's called. Yeah,
And it's how
but
you get that path to blend with the left-handed path, right? Never excluding the left. Imagine trying to
yeah.
live life with one arm. Yeah, right. Not fun. You need that other arm.
Sometimes, man.
Yeah, but why don't we trust the other arm, right? Because the other arm wants things from this world. This arm wants things from this world.
Mm.
So what do we need? They need to meet in the middle.
We need the magician card. We need his table of goodies
We need
where
that
the hands
table of
meet.
goodies, right? And what's on the table? We need the wand, right? What's our wand? Our wand is our power, right? Our ability to take our power and direct it, to point it at things, to blast our reality with whatever flavor of energy we want, right? So we have our wand, our fire power. We also have our pentacle, which is our body, our vitality, our health, right? It's like you can't live your life very effectively if the ship's falling apart. Can't make it to the
That's
island. How are
right.
you going to have a party at the dock? So we got our
That's right.
pentacle. We need our chalice. And what is our chalice? It's our emotional purity, right? Is our cup always full? Well, if it's always full, then it's probably stagnant. Uh-oh. Now we have stagnant emotions, right? So we gotta, is our cup being emptied regularly? Are we letting go? Are we making space for healing, right? That's the water, that's the cup. And then, of course, we have the sword. And what is our sword? Our ability to penetrate into the reality we desire to experience. Our ability to focus our mind and cut through distraction, illusion. It's our power of discernment. So you're right. You are right. We need the magician and we need those tools. We
We
need
need
those
the
tools.
goodies, man.
Yeah.
That was a very good description of the tools. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
You got to be able. You got to be able to get to the party at the dock, and that's kind of what I'm building right now. Like I said, I kind of let the physical health thing go, and so now if I want to get to the party, I need to construct a vehicle to get there.
Essentially, yes. But
So
hey,
yeah.
I mean, you're on a great path, though, right? I mean, your work with the Buddhist traditions. I mean, that is preparing your energy body. Like that's definitely not in vain. I mean, that's gotten you to this place, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, okay, so this is kind of cool for everyone out there who's like trying to heal themselves. So, well, I didn't go too hard on pranayama ever, so maybe that's my fault. But I'm doing pranayama. I'm doing like mantrayana as well, to like and other types of visualization healing techniques. But I realized none of them really got to the core. None of them really. What I needed was a really drastic shift, right?
Um,
Because there's normal illnesses and then there's chronic illnesses. Like like say you have like a paralyzed arm or something crazy like that. That kind of healing, I don't think pranayama is going to cut it. You have to like change the core vibration of who you are and like really figure out a way to like trick your life force to think that your arm is alive again, and in so doing eventually actually make it happen. So that's kind of what I've been building up to, like I said, with that realization on May 5th, where I figured out a system for myself where I'm going to trick my body into thinking that it's healthy again until it actually becomes that. And I know it's going to work, just like based on like cause and effect principles. So that's why like it makes me super happy when I do it. Like it totally changes me for that period of meditation. So yeah, just a little aside there.
Great. Oh man, well I'm very excited to hear that. It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think what you're saying, I think you're right. There's some different tools for different jobs, right? Pranayama is great for a lot of things, but yeah, like that job, yeah, alchemy and magic. Those are the only two words I know to talk about the tools that would probably help you with that. You're probably already playing with them, I mean, so good, man. I wish you the highest success, in your health and in this a wonderful system you're creating.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's kind of exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah. So actually, can you tell me like how did you get into the magical world? And in fact, that brings to mind something you talked about in Clubhouse, where you said you did this crazy ritual under the full moon, and like the deer started gathering around you, and like you saw a choo-choo train of UFOs in the sky, and it like changed your life forevermore. So is that clearly you were into magic at that point? But like, how'd you get into the ceremonial magic scene, and then what actually changed in your life after
Sure.
that
Well,
ritual?
well, at least I will tell you this story. I will tell you this. I promise you that.
Please do.
I have to tell you at another time though. I can only go until about 11 because I have some family over.
Oh,
But
oh okay. So
we can pick this up though again. I'd love to have another talk
yeah,
with you.
yeah.
I feel like we've just
Yeah, let me know.
scratched.
Let me know when you gotta tap out because it's already 11. So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
this
want to
is
keep you too
probably a
long.
good tap out time. Yeah, I kind of have it
Okay.
in for 2 hours. Um, but I'd love to come back on. We can do two parts if you want to, man. I'd be more than happy to pick it back up. And like,
I would love to hear the answer to that question, so
yeah,
we
yeah.
might
I
have to
don't mean
do
to leave
that.
you on such a cliffhanger. I
All
kind of
right.
structured my night for 2 hours. That's all.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for letting me know because I wouldn't want to, uh, you know, impose upon that. So tell you what, let's close out then.
Sure, sure.
Cliffhanger, guys. Enjoy that cliffhanger. So one thing I wanted to mention was that Tyler has a book, Living from the Heart, Your Heart.
Yeah.
That's secret. Maybe Ryo followers don't even know that. But also, so check out Tyler's website called thegalacticguide.com. You can schedule all your readings there. You can get those Taoist energy activations. You can get Ryo sessions. You can do the live Q&As monthly on YouTube for free. That's where I usually tune in. He's on Instagram, Clubhouse, TikTok. Uh, Anything else you want to add at this point, man, to close out with this awesome conversation?
Sure, sure. So let's see. There's a lot of things I could say. We have a lot of stuff in the works that's coming that I think you're all going to love. We have the Reimana School where we're training people in summoning UFOs, in learning how to predict the
Yes.
future, in learning how to do soul readings, in learning how to be able to summon whatever type of thing you might need on your path to help you fulfill your mission, right? It's about how you can create the life you want and create the spiritual experiences that you need to discover yourself and your purpose. That's what we're here to help people experience and create for themselves. So Ryo, he's like the idea person. He's the spirit behind this whole project. He speaks through me in the channeling state, and I deliver his words in the transmissions that we deliver. And I also write down his words as they are given to me when we're building things like this Reimana school. So a lot of the school he has built, and I've just been the conduit for it. So I invite you to check that out if you're looking for an immersive spiritual experience that literally comes from another dimension that's specifically tuned to what's happening here on Earth right now. Then come join us at the school. You can find that on Patreon. And my name is Tyler Ellison. You can find me on YouTube at HealthThyself. And I just want to say thank you so much for representing me so well. You did such a great job promoting me, and I also want to say too that this was lovely to talk to you. I feel so energized from this appointment. I hope you feel great too, man. You have a
I
great
do.
great
This
presence.
was a great conversation. Yes. It's glad to connect with you, man.
Yeah. Oh, excellent, excellent. Yes, yes, Paul. It's perfect. We'll do more. Let me know. I can't wait.
All right. All right. All right. We'll close out, and yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Like and subscribe. Go find Tyler's stuff. All right. Peace out.
Decent. Hell yeah, man. I was gonna say too, if you like, man, we can do like we can do another one and just like stitch them together if you want. I don't know if that
A
would,
mega.
yeah, like a mega one, because I think we could go deep and we could like have like a little announcement where like, hey guys, so this was like originally a 2 hour conversation, but now we made it into a 4 hour one, and like we could have like a little announcement maybe or something, you
You
know?
know what's funny about that? If you have a second, in my first podcast with Samaha Yogini, like we literally did it in 2 different days, and I just stitched them together to make 2 hours. And I made a joke about it. Like the scene's all different. We're wearing different clothes. I was like, yeah, just a 5 minute wardrobe break, guys. Like we're back.
That's hysterical,
But
dude. And
yeah, that's funny.
yeah, here it is happening again in another way with new people.
Yeah, yeah.
Hysterical, man. Paul,
All right.
this was great, man, and yeah, I look forward to our next chat. Let's stay in touch.
Let's do it. All right. Peace out.